Hi guys, today's gonna be a very tough video to make because we are gonna talk about my entire love life. Yay! Or whatever. But since this is kinda annoying topic for me to talk about, we have my trustworthy Mintu. So we're gonna get a bit relaxed and a little loose because it's not really a positive story. Anyway, first of all, we're gonna go through something. Now this will be maybe a bit unbelievable for many of those people watching, but I have a photo of myself when I was around 13 to 14 years old, and here it is. Ta-da! That's me, like 10 years ago. It's kind of weird, huh? It's like, wow, it's not even the same guy. And now you can see that when I was young, I was decently overweight. And not only that, but I was completely blisterous to everything in the world. I was kind of retarded, if you say it like that. Because my parents were really shunning me away, so I never really learned anything about the world, and I wasn't allowed to go out with the other kids. And when we finally moved, and it was just me and my mom, it was already I couldn't really fit in that way, and I was really slow in the head. But when I was around the age of the photo, that's the first time in my entire life I fell in love with someone. And I was going in school, and that's the weirdest thing. The first time I saw the girl, it was like I didn't feel anything. I thought the opposite. You know, when I was at that age, I was pretty much like everyone else. I was just like looking at people, and I was like, she looks weird. She's not really my person. I don't really like her. That's my first impression I had of that girl. But I wasn't interested in her at all. The opposite. I didn't like her at all. And time went by, and she was not like any one of the other girls. She was always quiet. She had this speaking thing. She couldn't really talk loud, so she always like whispered. She always whispered and really short. Like it was like this being really shy, and she didn't have she weren't like the other ones. She didn't use makeup. She wasn't like annoying or laughing all the time. She was always calm and doing her thing. And like I guess that kind of grew on me on the while in the long run, because I started liking her more and more. And I that was also one of the first schools where I got some friends and people to hang out with, and those people like got me out of this what's it called, repressed world that I was living in, where I didn't know anything. So I got more knowledge about things, and I started to become a normal person, being self-dependent in the way of self-thinking and all that. So that's kind of where it all started. And where do we go from there? This is how it's like when you don't have a script and you just kind of have to get it out of your head. But it's like really long ago. It's like 10 years. I was like 14 or so. Now I'm 25. It's really long ago. Anyway, time went by, and I think I was about to turn 15 when I finally was gonna tell her how I felt, and that didn't go so well. So first of all, I didn't even know. Can you imagine being really fat, like really overweight, and not even be aware of it? Like it was oblivious to me. No one ever criticized me on my weight or my looks, because I always moved a lot and I didn't hang out with lots of people. So I never got any criticism. So I thought I was just like anyone else. Like I didn't see the problem. But So I was really confident, you know. I was like, yeah, this may turn out good, you know. That was I had such good hopes. I was so positive. I was so happy. I finally had friends and I had things to do, and I wasn't alone anymore. My brain was awakening, and everything was going well. So I told her that I think it was after gym practice. I told her, like, outside of the, you know, where you do sports and stuff in school, outside the building. I told her I would like to meet you in the library. So we met in the library, and I just told her how I felt, and she told me how she felt, which was, "You're too ugly." Ooh, such a classic. That was the first time I heard it, and I remember that. I remember exactly that day how it felt. It was like it's like how to express it. It's like getting your soul destroyed and torn out of you, and nothing in the world matters at all. And like, this was something I had built up for over half a year, like all these emotions and all these happy thoughts and all that. I often, when I went home from school, I used to fantasize about her walking home with me, like beside me, and then we were getting attacked by these hooligans, and I like protected her. That was like one of my fantasies that was going through. I just wanted to, you know, be nice and help her, and like I wanted to be her hero in that kind of way. And getting that, the rest of that day was the one of the toughest days in my childhood, where I didn't even feel like going back to class. I just felt like going home. But being that stupid, nice, well-behaved guy, I just went on my day as usual. But I couldn't bring myself to do anything else than heavy. I was like a really blank expression the entire day, and I think that emotion sat with me for a few days afterwards as well. I didn't really recover well after that. Um, so it took me I think it took me over a month or so to like get it was around a month to get all that out of me, and then I started thinking, wait, really, I'm not that bad. So that's when I started talking online and internet dating, and it's kind of, I would say it's both easier and harder when you're young, because you can't really go on adult sites and stuff. But there were like online sites for people, like to get to know new people and stuff. So I went there, and I was living in Stockholm, so that's the biggest Swedish capital. So it was not any shortage of people. So that's when I started trying to get a date and meeting girls and like finding the right one. I started already at that age, like 14, 15, like among that. And every single day I wrote with at least, I don't even remember, that was like those days when I came home and I didn't bring one of my friends with me home to play games and stuff. Those days I just spent all days just writing with girls and trying to find the right one that would appreciate me and like me, and to see if I was okay. You know, at some point in your life you want to know if you're a good guy, like if you're worthy of love or whatever, if you're decent or if you're acceptable and all that. So I was trying to find that, and I don't even. I think I wrote with between. It depended on luck, you know, but it was like between 5 to 10 girls every single day, and every time it was always one and the same thing. You're not my type, or you're too ugly, or it was always just appearance wise. So like I didn't many times I didn't even run with a photo on some of the sites. So girls were interested, they wrote with me, and they found me really nice. They're like, "Oh, you can't be that bad. You sound really good. I don't care how you look like." And then you show them how you look, and it was like, whoa, whoa, no, 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 goodbye. and that happened so many times, and so it became clear to me that okay, this is all just about how you look. So I kind of I still continue to do it, but like I've always been this hopeful guy. I always feel like if you do something long enough, something good will happen of it. And I was really fighting with it, and it took me like a year, and then it started to be too much to handle. School started to end. I think it was around that time or something. I don't. It was really long ago, but. It had gone a year, and during that year I had probably had over 200 girls seeing me and saying you're not my type or you're too ugly. So that became really tough, like tough to talk about now. And it's also important to notice that the girls I was mostly going for were the less attractive ones, a bit more weird or odd looking, and that year got me into a depression, a big depression, and I stopped eating, and I was like, I was getting aware of my weight a bit, but I didn't know how it was to be thin because I had been overweight a long time. So I started to lose weight, and I was like, wait, this is working. Yeah, I'm looking a bit better, and that's when I started to hit the handles and start to work out more, and I went out on long walks, and I even could run back then. I started running, and I was getting really into shape. And that's when it took me like a while, but I got into a good shape or a decent shape where I was pretty normal. I was like the rest of my friends, and I was still doing the online dating thingy, but I wasn't doing it as frequent. It was really, I mostly just focused on trying to be with my friends and working out and playing games. So it was less about finding someone. That year I spent, that was from when I was around 14 to 15 and to I was 16, and I had done that for almost a year pretty much, and I gave up and focused on myself. And then I got to a part where it felt okay and good enough to start again. And wouldn't you know it, nothing had changed. I was still getting the exactly same criticism, and it didn't matter that I had lost weight and that I looked better and that I was healthier and stronger, and it didn't matter at all. It was all in vain. It was completely for nothing. And I was always also like doing the best I could with the pictures. I dressed really well and all that didn't matter. But something that did change was that instead of getting rejected instantly, I could actually meet some people. And I had roughly 4 dates, and every single time it was very like goodbye. And that was every single time. Like no one were interested in knowing you, and those that finally got to know you, they did like everything in their power to make up a weird excuse to break the contact with you. Like I remember this, there was this one girl that I was with a date with, and she came home to me. We watched a movie, and then she left. And like one day later, or two, I don't remember, but I remember her calling me and said like, "Do you have time to talk?" And I was with a friend right then, and I said, "I can't right now. I'm kind of busy. I'll call you in a while." And then it was like, if you can't talk right now, I need to break the contact with you completely. And it was like, yeah, it's pretty obvious. Like, yeah. And there were a bunch of people that when I went to the station to meet them, in Stockholm there's a subway, and I took the subway to a station, and then people meet up. And so many times when you meet someone up and they just see you like this, and then they just go away. It's it's so soul crushing, especially when you've been working hard, like exercising and eating healthy, and lost almost all your weight, and you're look like it's so there's no describing it how hopeless it feels. And I was doing that for a year until I was gonna turn 17, and then I gave up completely. I was like, okay, whatever. I'm unlovable. I get it. There's no one for me. So I gave up on trying to date girls and get dates, and I just focused on having friends. And I was always trying to write with people that were feeling down and sad, and give them advice and be there for people that were miserable. And then that was the first time I met a girl like that I had a relationship with, and that was the first girl that actually stood me. Like she how to say it? She didn't see what the other girls were seeing. She thought I was a normal guy, and I was always dressed as a hip hopper and all that. And I was young and hip and all that, so it was really weird to me. I felt like she was joking with me or something. I couldn't really get serious into it, so I didn't have the mentality at first that it was a date. I thought I was meeting a friend, and I had such a weird view of it all. It was like, I'm gonna meet a friend today, we're just gonna have some fun, and yeah, I made a new buddy. That's how I saw it all. But nope, when she came over, we watched a movie, and like she was interested in me, and that's like the first girl I have ever been with. And I remember when we sat, I used to have a balcony on my room back then. I was 17, so I was still living home and all that. But like, I remember on the balcony, I told her that I was really happy that she wanted to be with me and all that, and she didn't see anything weird with me. So we became friends, and a bit more, if you say it like that. Like, yeah, and it was like that for like a few months, and then she showed her mother and her friends photos of me or us together and stuff. And that's when her views started to change, because everyone told her, boy, you have a really ugly boyfriend. And her mom told her, you deserve much better than him. And that's when she started to think differently about me. And she started to realize the things that other criticized about me, and she viewed me differently. And she became, she didn't want to break up or in that way like break the contact with me. She still liked me and all that, but she was frustrated that I was making her look bad when she was with me. And she was aggressive and angry and frustrated, and it was like that for a long time. I don't remember. Every time we went out, I was forced to go like a few feet behind her so people wouldn't recognize us. And like yeah, that's it was really, but I didn't mind back then. I didn't care. I was just happy that after those, can you imagine those years when you suffer through all that stupid shit, and then someone at all is there and wants to be with you. I didn't mind all that. I was like, yeah, fine. You want me to go 10 feet behind you or 20? Like, I didn't care at all. And like, she often stayed at my place much longer. She was kind of avoiding her home because her family was kind of messed up in the head. So it was like, yeah. And that's when things started to shift, because she was like a normal girl, like everyone else. But my mother and me, we are like, we're two nice people. We don't really say no to people. So she wanted to stay over longer. She stayed longer, and we often, my mom at least, she often bought home like bad foods like pizza and all that, hamburgers, and she often ate because she was annoyed and depressed. And it turned out that suddenly I was the skinny one and she was the fat one. So that took like a course of almost a year. And by this time, we also decided that we were gonna be in a relationship. And after that, during like 1 year, there was so much bad things happening. Like I remember Christmas, I had like plans that we were gonna go to the movie. I had bought home lots of good food. I thought we were gonna have a good Christmas uh, evening and all that. Like everything was gonna be happy and we were just gonna have fun. But oh no, she had had a bad day at home, and when she came over, it was such a mess. And like I really didn't like that when something bad happens and you just can't let go of it and it ends up ruining the entire day. And that's how she was. If something went wrong, or if something was bugging her, it ruins the entire day, and it doesn't matter how nice you are or what happy things you have planned. It was a disaster. But all through it all, I there were more bad things than good things, but there were still lots of good things, and I still cherish all of those things. It was like, even though it's more bad than good, the good still outwits the bad, and you just didn't feel as alone anymore. It was a good feeling. That is until she cheated on me. Wow, what a surprise! So she cheated on me, and we broke up again. We had broken up a few times during our relationship, but it was like short breakups, which recent we got back together again recently fast. And she cheated on me that one time, and that was a longer breakup. And I told her, go be with that guy, and she was like, that was a mistake. I'm not gonna do that again. And it took me a long while, but I was like, okay, if you can prove to me it was like that, then it was like, okay. So it took like almost half a year, but she was serious about it, and she had improved a lot. And there was no more this go 10 feet behind me. She was more used to me, and we were holding hands when we went out. And it was becoming more of a real relationship. And that was when I was gonna move again, because I have moved so many times in my life. But my mom got a new job and we had to move. I wasn't independent, so I had to go with her. And that's when she said, if I can't be with you, I can't have a relationship with you. So we broke up again, and this time it felt like, this is for real. Okay, fine. I've had, like, what was it? I think it was 2 or 3 years together with her by that time, and it was okay. I was at peace with it all. And I lived in a little cabin in the woods in the middle of nowhere. If you can imagine a big forest-wide area, and there's a little cabin in the middle of the wood, and there is nowhere to be or no one to meet. And I was like, fine, this is all right. The only thing that I hated was the internet connection, but that was fine for me. Just being there. For myself, I kept exercising and doing things, and I started to. That was when I picked up this writing online thing again, started to try and get new friends and stuff. And that's when I met this new girl that was the first honest girl to be with me, that said, yeah, you're not good looking, but you're not that bad either. Like, she was the first one that ever told me it in a way that I felt like, wow, this is a serious person. That feels like true. It's like, you're saying I'm not good looking, but I'm not the worst, and that's like how I pretty much felt by then. Also, my confidence had gotten better, and as usual, I had no idea what to expect of this, so she was just a friend to me. But by that time, I was like, I think I was 19 or 20 or so, and she was 17, so it was like an age difference. It didn't really feel right, but like I realized that the reason she mostly wanted to be in touch with me was because I could buy liquor. Woo! So I remember I used to hang out with her, and we used to buy lots of liquor from the store, and we drank, and she was a gamer as well, so we played video games and stuff, and it was also a bit more of a physical, how to say it, we fucked all right. It was a bit of that. So it was like that kind of friendship. And but I didn't feel anything for her, and she didn't really feel anything for me, and we both were on the same page. So we were just temporary friends, if you say that, until I moved to a normal apartment, and then my ex wanted to come back to me, and she came back, and she used to pendle. She stayed with me a week, and she went home a week, and that's when our relationship became more normal in a way. Like she treated me much better. We had more happy thoughts and happy moments. And then she totally moved in with me, and we lived together for a few years. I think that was when I was around 21 or so. Now I'm 20. We broke up when I was 25. I think, yeah, 25. So it was like a few years. In total, we had known each other for around 8 years or so. But yeah, that's when I kind of. That's She also started developing health issues, and she couldn't leave the home anymore. And I didn't really mind that. I like taking care of her and stuff. But during the last year, when we were together, she didn't really express any emotion towards me, and it ended up us being in separate rooms, and it was negative. And I kept trying, but I felt like I'm not getting anything back. And then we broke up on like November. I think it was November. We broke up, and she was like, "Please don't do this." But that was the first time I broke up. Like, it's always been her that's had an issue, or we've had a discussion and we come to the conclusion that we're different or anything, and that's when we have temporarily broken up. So, but this was the first time I broke up, and I was serious about it. So she went home, and I felt kind of happy and relieved that okay, I I want to start over again. And so I was kind of just being myself for a few months. I think it was like 4 months, but it's still really tough. But that's how it was, and I was just chill, focusing a bit on myself. And then it started to feel bad because if you've been with someone for 8 years and you're used to being with people, being absolutely alone is kind of annoying. It's like imagine being trapped in a dark cave and you can't get out, just for someone to pull you out and introduce you to the world, and then later put you back into that hole again and you can't get out. And it's such an annoying feeling. So it's terrible. And that's kind of where we are right now. Because yeah, it's been like a bit more than a half year now. It's soon been a year, I think, since we broke up. And this entire year, I've been getting over that part and trying to start a new part. And I've started again, like the past months, I've started trying to find new friends and tried to go on some dates. And I got really sad that it's still the same as when I was younger, where everyone just tells you, "You're too ugly, you're not my type." But now it's even worse. Now they care about if you have a job and if you're rich or not. So it's really hard to find a person that just cares about love in itself, that wants someone that you can share your soul with, and where you can just not be alone anymore, and just someone to cling to and not let go, and go through all these things together, like someone in the same situation. And I realize that there aren't many people that have it like that, at least not girls. I know a few guys, I've talked to a few guys, but not any girls. Girls don't seem to have these issues. At least it's not as common or as severe, where they can't just get out of it if they even try. But yeah, I guess this is my entire love life. What I'm doing right now is I'm still exercising, and I'm eating healthy. I'm doing my best to improve myself. And I'm still on the daily grind, every day a little bit, trying to go online and find the right one. I'm doing that. I'm probably never gonna stop doing that, because that's like my drift. I love to share my soul with someone and have someone I can put my focus on, to take care of, and and just live for the love, if you say it like that. But yeah, I guess that's my entire love life, and my estimations is that it's gonna be like this for at least 1 more year, and I'm hoping that I can get some help from those at the healthcare with my breathing issues and stuff like that, and that psychology professions, or whatever it's called, the psychologists will put me in a group and all that, so I can get some better help, and hopefully they will change their mind on how badly this affects my life, like my appearance and all that, and they will give me some kind of discount on surgery or whatever. One can always hope. And maybe when I'm 25 right now, so maybe when I'm around 28 or 29 to 30, things may have changed enough for me to actually be happy again. But who knows? Anything can happen at any time. We just have to keep on fighting, never give up, and always believe in the best thing that can happen, even if it's somewhat delusional, because it is somewhat delusional if you think about it. But just never giving up, no matter how bad it looks, is a good motto, a good thing to cling to if you want to be alive. If not, you can do as the majority of bad-looking guys and go and take your own life. But I like to believe in the future, because you never know what can happen. But yeah, that's about it. And this is gonna be a 30-minute long, annoying video. But hopefully someone will enjoy this. And to the next time. See ya.